I want to cook. So I know you mentioned CK, a good friend of mine in Opties. He has this meme that he says 37 sats is generational wealth. And I'm about to break this down for you. So Opti did a good job breaking down 1 Bitcoin, 0.21 Bitcoin. I'm going to try to break down 263,000 sats. So that is if you were to divide the entire Bitcoin network, so 21 million Bitcoin divided by the denomination of sats by 8 billion people. I know the number is about 7.7, but to make numbers easier, let's just say there's 8 billion people in the world. If you were to equally divide the Bitcoin network, and obviously sats have been lost, Satoshi, has about 1 million coins himself, that would be about 263,000 sats per person, globally distributed equally among everyone in the world. Obviously, that's not the case. Some people have more, some people have less. Obviously, we're all trying to keep up with Saylor and Satoshi. But 263,000 sats is the equivalent of 160 US cuck bucks. So $160 in US currency will currently get you 263,000 sats. But breaking down the meme further, so obviously CK has the meme 37 sats is generational wealth. He took that number because when he got into Bitcoin, it was 2016. In 100 years from instead of 2016 to 2116, so 100 years forward, the block reward for Bitcoin will be 37 sats. So that means that the global Bitcoin network will be competing every block to get a subsidy of 37 sats along with obviously transaction fees. But the subsidy itself will be 37 sats. So they're competing globally for 37 sats. And you don't know what basically the transaction fees will be at the time. We're assuming much higher than they are currently today, but the subsidy itself will be 37 sats. So when you think about it, there is 52,000 blocks per year if there's 210,000 blocks per 4-year epoch or thereabout. So that's assuming that there's 52,000 blocks per year. If you had 1% of the global hash rate, which would be a lot of the global hash rate at the time, that means that you're expecting to win 525 blocks per year. And that is to cover the operations of all your mining, your electricity, paying out your staff and everything. That means that if you were to multiply the 37 sats just from the subsidy, that's the only thing that you can guarantee because you don't know what the transaction fees are going to be, times 525 blocks for the year for the 1% of the hash rate. That means that your total revenue, with just subsidy alone, would be 19,425 sats. So think about that. You can get 10 times what the subsidy will be today if you had 1% of the hash rate for 160 bucks. Like, think about that. That blows your mind. You can have 10 times more revenue than can be guaranteed by having 1% of the global hash rate in 100 years from now. Like, that's really hard to fathom when you think if we think the Bitcoin network's going to grow and continue to expand. Obviously, we're expecting we know the exact block that the 28th epoch, or when 37 sats will be, is block 5,670,000. If you're assuming, we know by code 210,000 blocks is every epoch. And so obviously we start at 50, 25, 12.25, 12.5, 6.25, and now we're in the epoch of 3.125 Bitcoin. So that's just to say, like, obviously CK was saying 37 sats is generational wealth because 1% of the global network will be competing to try, the global Bitcoin network will be competing for 37 sats for the epoch 28 at block 5,670,000. So just to put that in perspective, if $160 US will get you a huge chunk of Bitcoin. So I know that's to not stack shame anyone. Hopefully everyone can, save enough $160 to stack what would be the equivalent if you were to equally divide out Bitcoin. That's 263,000 sats today. Obviously we aspire to get 1 million sats, 10 million sats, 21 million sats, a whole Bitcoin if you can make it. But I hope that my great-grandchildren or, great-great-grandkids will be like, what are US dollars or what's dollars? Just like we make fun of the Zimbabwe dollar, the $100 trillion note that I have here framed away to remember fiat is shit. Bitcoin is what you want. You want the hardest money in the world. And I'll leave it at that.